Yo, what's up everyone, BrickStreetBoy here, back with another video, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what I would have done if I wrote the 2009 Megan Fox horror comedy movie, Jennifer's Body. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So before I talk about what I did in my rewrite, or like my Jennifer's Body revisions, I should probably explain briefly what Jennifer's Body is. Well, it is a 2009 horror comedy movie, which is told from the perspective of a girl called Needy, played by Amanda Seyfried, who is like your stereotypical high school nerd. And basically, her life is ruined when her best friend Jennifer, played by Megan Fox, who is like the popular cheerleader girl in their school, decides to take her to some concert, which and Jennifer has like a massive crush on the lead singer, and then her like teenage crush is exploited when she finds out that how do I explain? Oh my god, my mind's gone blank. Sorry. When the band are actually part of a satanic cult who wants to sacrifice her in a bid to get famous. And then they sacrifice her, but then she doesn't actually die. She is instead turned into some venom demon type character. And then she ends up eating her male classmates. So from that, you can tell that it could be fun. On paper, it sounds like if it's executed well, it could be good. And well, I watched it, and I was massively, massively, massively disappointed. It had potential to be good, but failed in like basically every possible aspect. Seriously, it had more wasted potential than both Thor: Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Okay, I actually did enjoy Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness more than most people, but I do think that this film should have been better. So that's why I decided to take on this challenge of rewriting Jennifer's Body. So I'm going to talk you guys through the problems I had with this film and the solutions that I took to fixing these problems, and like what I would have done if I had written this movie and like how I would have structured it. So I hope you guys enjoy. Now I'm going to talk you guys through the problems I had with this film and what I would do to fix them. Now, I just want to point out, if you guys ever see me like looking at this direction, it's because like I got my my notes here, so don't worry too much about that. It's just for me. I wrote some stuff down before the video, like I was planning out, and I made them here. I'm gonna put them here so like I don't forget what I'm gonna say. So if you see me looking over there, do not panic. So yeah, the first thing I am going to do is shift the focus. I mean that in two ways. So as I mentioned, the story is told from the perspective of Needy, and she's like the main character, and by default Jennifer is like portrayed as the main villain. I am not going to have that. I'm going to have it be told from the perspective of Jennifer, and then she's gonna go make that like transformation from being like a really one-dimensional villain to a complex, tragic anti-hero. I've seen this people want more of Jennifer. She's like the most iconic from this film, and you would think a film called Jennifer's Body would focus on Jennifer, but it doesn't. It really should have done. It's called Jennifer's Body, not Needy's Body. Then again, it should probably be renamed Wasted Potential the Movie.
I hate wasted potential in all of its forms.
Now, I briefly touched on this, but I would have the characters be less one-dimensional. Needy literally says, "We were just our yearbook photos. Nothing more, nothing less." And she was not kidding. Like, seriously, these characters are so one-dimensional, it's insane. Like, it does lean very heavily into archetypes, and that leaves very little room for any character development. I mean, I would have Jennifer face. I mean, of course, Jennifer being the main focus of this hypothetical version of Jennifer's Body, some internal struggle, and like, literally, she went from having her perfect life as like a popular girl, and then it's still unfazed. Not even the fact that the demon did basically everything in that film, and we didn't get to see much of Jennifer and her life and her personality prior to the possession. I will fix that in this film, and I will have like a balance between her humanity and her demon side, which I feel like most versions of horror characters should really do. I mean, think about it. Venom, you get to see a blend of Eddie Brock and the symbiote. I would have like Jennifer basically fight the effects of that demon. I hated, and I feel like a lot of people did also agree with me this. I hated the fact that the whole movie was just a flashback and narrated by Needy from prison. It means there's like no stakes. Not only that, but it means it hinders the possibilities of sequels. There's also very little room for character development. Like, this flashback element is sort of the root of all problems of this film. Like, it all kind of springs from the flashbacks. If there was no flashback, then all of this could have been avoided. And that's what I'm going to be doing. We're going to make for a more linear narrative, and it would also make it more consistent, dare I say.
See? At least I'm consistent.
I feel like the original Jennifer's Body did have a ton of loose threads, and the ending will be, and I plan on fixing those loose threads. I feel like they were supposed to be fixed in a sequel, and which leads me on to my next point. There will be an open-ended ending, like a post-credit scene almost, which kind of teases the future of this hypothetical installment. Like, we could get like a whole trilogy with these characters, with these concepts, and I will make sure to tease that in the ending, in the post-credit scene. This film had way too many sex scenes. Like, the only one I could really see being necessary is the one between Needy and Chip at the start, but even then that could have easily been done away with. It does strengthen their like dynamic, but like half the film is basically just Needy and Chip doing that kind of stuff whilst Jennifer's off killing people. Why? Just why? And I would also omit the scene where Jennifer and Needy make out. That scene just caused a lot of confusion. Like, what was the purpose of it? It could have completely been done away with. I'm getting rid of it. The next problem I had has something to do with the pacing. It was way too fast-paced. It was chaotic, overstuffed, and all of that does not fit into the 1 hour 40 runtime. And I would like add on the fact the whole demon arc is too big to fit into such a short runtime. It did not work, so we're gonna like stretch it out a bit and give everything more time to breathe and properly develop. I'm fully aware that it's supposed to be a horror comedy hybrid as opposed to like a full-on horror film, but a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the jokes did not land for me. They were painfully cringe. Like, who looked at this script and passed it without physically cringing? Who let it pass? Seriously. And yeah, some of them landed. It does make sense, but they were not funny for some of them. Now, there will still be jokes, but I would have them be used in a way sparingly as opposed to undercutting the serious moments. Like some serious moments were undercut by some of the painfully cringe jokes. Like at the end when Needy's stabbed Jennifer and thinks she's like lost her best friend. I say thinks because you'll see what I mean. I mean, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you might know what I'm alluding to. And then it gets ruined with this. Why? My final change is a relatively big one, but I feel like it's a problem that literally most people had with this movie. The demon, and by default Jennifer, lacked a motive. As soon as she's possessed, she just kills random guys for no reason. These guys in her high school did nothing to warrant the killings. In this incarnation, Jennifer will have a motive. I mean, and the way I would do that is by making the ending the main plot. At the end of Jennifer's Body, Needy escapes prison and then gets revenge on Low Shoulder for ruining Jennifer and her life. And by making the ending the main plot, Jennifer's main motive after she's possessed is by getting revenge on the guys that sacrificed her, that literally got away with human trafficking, attempted murder, and with the fire, terrorism. They get off scot-free. I would have Jennifer hunt down Low Shoulder the way Deadpool hunted down Ajax. That would work way better than what we actually got, in my opinion. So with all the revisions out of the way, I think I'm ready to share with you guys my synopsis. I'm going to leave it on the screen now. The final thing I just want to point out before I give my almost kind of like rewrite is like this could also work for like a Jennifer's Body remake. It's like, I think now I know remakes and that are kind of controversial, but Jennifer's Body is in dire need of one. It has so many problems, and this would be the perfect way to fix it. And it would work. It would make sense because that when it was first made in 2009, people did not take to it kindly. It was like trashed in the box office. But in the recent years, it has kind of gained popularity, whether it be through TikTok edits or music videos or Lego customs. I wonder who made those. Shameless little plug. So it would make sense to get, I mean, horror movie remakes are becoming oversaturated, but only because they're for movies that didn't need remakes because they were already quote unquote perfect as they were before. Jennifer's Body is far from perfect. So now I think I'm ready to give what I would have done if I were Jennifer's Body. Act 1. Now, in the original Jennifer's Body, it was a flashback, but since Jennifer will be the main focus, I'm trying to think, how was Jennifer introduced in the original movie? She was introduced as like the popular sexy cheerleader, and I would have that be done in a way, but still have her have a sense of humanity. The way I would do that is have Jennifer just sitting by herself in the changing room, whilst all the other cheerleaders are about practicing. Jennifer's in the changing room, scrolling on her phone, scrolling on Instagram. Yes, as I did mention, this is going to be set. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but this will be set present day, and thus there might be some social media references in through here. In the original, Jennifer talks about MySpace and that, and since this is set in present day, it will be Instagram, and I don't want it to be like what the Mean Girls remake was, where they just overused all the Gen Z references. I think this one will be just a little Instagram reference, or will be super harmless. It's like how in Spider-Man No Way Home they talked about a Daily Bugle TikTok account. This would almost be like that. So Jennifer, as I mentioned. Now, before I talk about where I'm going with this story, I think I should probably give my fan cast for this newer version of Jennifer. Now, Megan Fox was great. She killed it as the original Jennifer in the original movie. She carried it, but she was perfect for the role. But in this version, it's got to be Madison Beer. I think Madison Beer would be the perfect fit to play Jennifer Check. She was amazing in that music video for Make You Mine, which is an awesome song, awesome video, where she did channel her inner Megan Fox, and it was inspired by Jennifer's Body, as I talked about. So I think she would be the perfect fit. So yeah. Anyways, where was I? So she's still scrolling on Instagram. She sees that Low Shoulder are doing a concert, the band that is part of the Cult, as I mentioned already. So she screenshots the post and then sends it to Needy, whose arrival will be teased later on. And then another cheerleader would probably walk in and say something that hints at Jennifer's status as the star girl of their kind of community, their kind of school, but then she might be uncomfortable with that because I envision this incarnation of Jennifer being more of a shy, humble girl, as opposed to how stuck up she was in the original. That would give her more depth, in my opinion. The next scene I would just have be that iconic locker scene where Jennifer and Needy are discussing by the lockers. We would introduce Needy to here. Now, who should play Needy, you may ask? My fan cast, I know people have been fan casting Sabrina Carpenter for this role, as she is friends with Madison Beer. It works, but I personally don't see it. My fan cast is Sydney Sweeney. She can channel that nerdy schoolgirl, as we've seen in Madam Web. I feel like she and Madison Beer would have a pretty good dynamic in this version of Jennifer's Body. So Sydney Sweeney is my fan cast for Needy in this incarnation. The locker scene can stay basically the same as the original, but maybe something that where Needy teases Jennifer for her crush on Nikolai Wolf or something like that. And then again, the Instagram references. She talks about, she shows their Instagram page to Needy and then manages to convince her that to go to that concert, because I envision Needy being somewhat skeptical prior to going. Now, the next scene can stay basically the same. It is the scene where Jennifer picks up Needy from her house for the concert. This is where we're also introduced to Needy's boyfriend, Chip. Who should play Chip, you may ask? I think it should be, I don't know why I have this in my head, but Jack Quaid. If you guys don't know who Jack Quaid is, he played Huey on Amazon Prime's The Boys. I guess after dealing with the likes of Homelander, A-Train, and the rest of the Seven, dealing with possessed cheerleaders would be a walk in the park for him. So we just get a little interaction between the three, and then they make their way to the bar. Now we're going to move on to the bar scene where they first enter the bar. Now I'm going to make some pretty major changes to this scene. So in the original, there is some of the worst dialogue ever put to screen, I kid you not. Literally everything just felt like drinking battery acid would feel less painful than listening to the dialogue in that scene. I hated the jokes. They were not funny. They were painfully cringe. And thus I would basically change some of their interactions. I would also have the whole scene when Low Shoulder lay eyes on Jennifer and Needy, I would have Jennifer and Needy be completely separated by that point, because some people did mention why wasn't Needy sacrificed instead of Jennifer, because she was more like the stereotypical virgin. I feel like that would bother some people in the newer iteration. So yeah, we would have that. Basically, what I envision happening is Jennifer asks Needy to order her a drink. She's like too shy to do it, so she gives Needy some money and then tells her to order a drink. Also in this version, Chris Pratt's character in the original was like a policeman. In this version, he'll be a bartender, and then that's when and then Needy meets him when he's when she's like ordering the drink, and then he tells her about him and Jennifer's history together, which we will hint at later. So yeah, Low Shoulder will stop performing, and then they lay eyes on Jennifer, and then because obviously they plan on murdering her and doing human trafficking, and then the fire is lit, and then they kidnap Jennifer, who is completely infutated, and Needy tries to find her, but by that point they'd already gone. And then they take Jennifer away to the woods, and then they perform that ritual. This was told through a flashback in the original version. I would not have that. It would just be told as it is. Jennifer would try to explain to them, but then she's like completely tied up and like got like one of them like ties around her mouth as she's trying to explain. But then they just think that she's like an annoying fangirl, and then the whole concept of that will be reintroduced as she tries to like explain that she isn't a virgin, like unlike what they're trying to use her for. And then the ending of Act 1 will be her transformation from human to demon, almost like Eddie Brock getting possessed by the symbiote. Act 2 would open with Jennifer on her bed. She appears to be like sleepless, kind of dead inside, but then the demon wakes up her body, and then we get to see an insight to her transformation, which I do think the original lacked that kind of balance. Again, I did mention that I'm going to include like a balance of her human side and her demon side, and then she's also like, she's still sat on the bed, but then she's also getting like a load of like missed calls and texts, which are from Needy, who is at school. Now meanwhile, while she's at school, right, of course, with it being like such a close-knit community, everyone's still like deeply affected by the fire and those who died. Needy's like on her phone trying to call Jennifer, but then the teacher tries to like get her to get off her phone, but then she like explains everything. And then they also mention that Low Shoulder are donating to families of the victims, much like how the original was. So after that, I would have it like cut back to Jennifer, and then the demon would manipulate her into seeking revenge on Low Shoulder. As I mentioned, this will be a revenge story, and then it like the same way the symbiote manipulates Eddie Brock. I know you guys are gonna get sick of me for saying that, but that is like my vision for this, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's when she goes on that mission to hunt down Low Shoulder and kill off all of them. Then eventually she does end up finding them, and then she does end up killing them. But after she kills them, she starts feeling a bit guilt-stricken. The aftermath of the murders will occur, and then will be all over the news. And then, again, I know I said I wasn't going to include that many, like, Gen Z social media references, but yeah, just have, like, a trending page of, like, not only, like, the Low Shoulder murders, but also, like, the victims of the fire, and then Needy will see that on the news, and then she'll know instantly that there was a Jennifer connection in there, and then that will help with the investigation further down the line. So the next day at school, Jennifer would return to school, and then, like, much like what we got in the original film, she starts looking very disheveled and, like, not like herself and kind of lifeless. Like, as she said herself, I feel like boo-boo. So, yeah, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see her transformation. I mean, in more ways than one. And then Needy would ask if she's okay, and then Jennifer would say no, and they invite her back to her house later that night, and then this is when she starts confessing everything, whether it be the murders, and then all the rituals, and how she killed Low Shoulder. And then we'd, like, learn more about that. This was done in a flashback in the original. A good portion of this film will be made up with Jennifer and Needy investigating the demon that possesses her, and, like, the rituals and all that kind of stuff. They could, like, look through, like, the spell books, run like DNA tests. There could be a variety of things. I would also like kind of delve into the backstory of the demon. I haven't thought about that yet. This is just hypothetical. I know I've said that a lot, but you know. And then since it's like getting late, they can't find a way to reverse the effects, so they put it off, and then they will figure out tomorrow. And then Jennifer and Needy go back to their place, and then and then they just start talking out like they did again, and then eventually Needy leaves, and that leaves Jennifer alone with the demon. What happens next? Once Needy leaves Jennifer alone with the demon in her room, then that is when the demon reawakens, and then it tells Jennifer, it like manipulates Jennifer into killing Needy's boyfriend Chip. It won't tell her to do that now. It will just like tell her that Needy is like hindrance to her. She's like the only way standing between Jennifer and like reaching her ultimate power. And like it's all too much for Jennifer at this point. She's like she's still traumatized from the murders. She's still guilt stricken from the murders. Again, still traumatized from everything, whether it be the ritual, the murders, everything. And then at that point, she just feels like it's no more. She would like, and then she gets out her phone, sends Needy a text, which would be the equivalent of a suicide note. I know it's getting dark here. I know it's getting very dark here. But yeah, I do want really like emotional moment, and it will delve into some very heavy stuff. And she realizes that she can't live anymore and wants to end it all. Needy will get that text. She rushes back to Jennifer's house and tries to stop her. And then when she realizes she wasn't there, then she realizes that Jennifer is probably at a bridge. And then she ends up rushing to the bridge in a bid to find Jennifer. This is where Act 3 begins, and it's like the setup for the final battle. Jennifer's on a bridge, ready to end it all. And then coincidentally, guess who's driving? None other than Chip, who is Jennifer's next victim. Chip gets out the car, and then, because of the whole demonic urges and everything, Jennifer starts attacking Chip. For some reason, what I have in my head in this version is like the battle in Spider-Man No Way Home, not the final one, but like the one with Spider-Man, Doc Ock, and Green Goblin, like a bridge battle almost. I mean, this is a battle set on a bridge. I also imagine her fighting style being somewhat similar to... I don't know why I have this in my head. It's completely stupid. But the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, like, you know, in the Amazing Spider-Man 1 when Andrew Garfield is fighting the lizard, like, we get to see, like, all those, like, cool webs and that. We could, like, see something like that. I don't know why I have this in my head, but that's just my vision for some bloody reason. So yeah, we'll just go with that. She like throws car doors and that, and then just as she's about to attack Chip, Needy realizes, and then there's like a whole battle between them, and then there's like cars thrown, there's like lampposts thrown, and then Needy sees that Jennifer's about to attack Chip, so then this is where Jennifer does get stabbed like she did in the original, but she wouldn't die. She didn't even die in the original. It was supposed to be open-ended, but people just unanimously died. Decide that she died because she was stabbed, but they forgot about her instant healing. And then, which leads me on to the post-credit scene. So Jennifer is frantically rushed to a hospital and is on a hospital bed. And then Needy is like by Jennifer on that hospital bed and just like watching over her. She's like somewhat guilty for that. And then she like consents that Jennifer's like still alive even though she like presents as dead. Then eventually the doctor tells Needy to leave. And then in the post-credit scene, we see Jennifer's wound healing, and that's where we know the demon's still in there, Jennifer's still in there, she's still alive and ready to fight back. So yeah, that is the end of my Jennifer's Body rewrite / Jennifer's Body like remake pre-write. So that's the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more awesome videos. Goodbye.